It's time for dinner.
Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
From the creative mind of Scott Bertelson, after 4 decades of teaching our impressionable youth,
The dinner bell.
you are invited to enjoy conversational morsels for the mind at Mr. B's dinner party.
Yeah, dinner.
Well, la-dee-da, la-dee-da. Where have you heard that expression before, my happy podcast people?
Mr. B's got a table so wide. Pull up a chair, let your worries slide. School days, tales, and a movie or two. He's serving up wisdom with a side of stew. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end. From travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musing served in rhyme.
Do you know what film that is from? It is from one of my favorite films, Annie Hall. And today on Mr. B's dinner party, I'm going to pay my tribute to this great actress who unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago, the incomparable Diane Keaton. So, barely up to the table.
For the next course, come one, come all. Nothing spoiled here. From comfort classics to what's hot now. Film reviews from Mr. B's Rewatchables.
Folks, for my rewatchable section this week, I am going to pay tribute to Diane Keaton, who died October 11, 2025. I have been a fan of Diane Keaton from the moment I saw her in Godfather 1. And I have been with her through all her decades of filmmaking. And I have always been astounded by her range of characters that she has portrayed over the years. And she was one of a kind. She was genius. She was her own person. That was very well exemplified by her clothing style, by her choice of roles that she participated in. She was amazing. And the film world will never be the same now that she's gone. She has won many awards. She won the AFI Life Achievement Award in 2017. She's won 2 Golden Globes. She's had nominations for Emmy Awards and a Tony Award. Just to give you a little background about Diane, I'm not going to go into great detail, but she did begin her career on stage. She was in the original Hair, Long, Beautiful Hair, on Broadway. Yes. And then she became a romantic interest of Woody Allen, who has directed and written scores of films. Many of them I thoroughly enjoy. I believe, actually, before The Godfather, I saw her in Play It Again, Sam, the film adaptation of that, and she was in that. And that's where I met her for the first time. That was 1969. She's been in other films, as I said, The Godfather 1 and 2. She was in Sleeper, Love and Death. Now, I'm just going to highlight my favorite films. I'm going to mention 5 films of hers that are my go-to. The first one, and not necessarily in any order, would be Annie Hall, 1977. Also starred Woody Allen. It won the Academy Award for Best Picture, and I think a slew of other awards. I personally think it's Woody Allen's best film. It's a very autobiographical film about his relationship with Diane Keaton, and they play the characters. Involves these two very different people who are drawn to each other, but it's not enough to keep them together. And so it's funny, it's hilarious, but it's also very, very bittersweet. And that's where we were first introduced to Diane Keaton's la-di-da, la-di-da, which I love to use at certain times. She was also in the historical epic Reds of 1981 that she starred opposite Warren Beatty, with whom she had an involvement with, and very dramatic film. That would be my number 2 film that I would mention. Then I'm going to mention one that many people have forgotten. In 1977, she completely went AWOL, so to speak, and starred in the film adaptation of the novel Looking for Mr. Goodbar, which also had us with the premiere of Richard Gere. And she played a single school teacher living in New York City who teaches the deaf. And because of her tumultuous home life, she decides that she's never going to have children, and at a very early age has, I believe, a hysterectomy. And so for her, trying to find love is going to bars and picking up men. And as you can probably guess, this is not a feel-good film at all. It has a very tragic ending. It's very apparent, the message here, that you cannot find love in those kinds of places, and it's not going to end up in any type of way a positive experience. But the reason I recommend it as my number 3 film, along with Reds and Annie Hall, is that she, up to this point, had been in many, many, many Woody Allen films, playing the heroine, playing the slapstick partner to Woody Allen. And this one was completely dramatic. And I think it was a superb example of her acting skills, because she played every emotion in this film. So that's why I really recommend that. My next one I recommend is, and I just watched it recently, is Baby Boom, which came out in 1987. And here she plays this very, very uptight, brilliant executive who really has no time for love or romance and is consumed by working her way up the corporate ladder. When a baby is given to her, she's the only living relative of her cousin's child, and she has to decide, is she going to keep the child or is she going to give the child up? She tries to give the child up, but it doesn't work. And she keeps the child. She changes her whole life. She moves from New York City to rural Vermont and starts her life all over again, falls in love with a veterinarian, and really encompasses, this film encompasses the whole theme of you've got to follow the path that you think is important for you. And there's way more to life than business executives and business suites. And you better take time for you as a person. So that would be the other film that I would mention to you. And I would also then finally say the film Something's Got to Give that she made with Jack Nicholson. And a lovely, beautiful story about love and redemption. She plays an older woman who has a teenage daughter, well, a young adult daughter, who is dating Jack Nicholson, a much older man. And as it turns out, she starts to have feelings for Jack Nicholson as he does for her. And makes for an interesting scenario. And it's very well written. It's not only funny, but it's also very serious at the same time. I'm not going to tell you whether they get together in the end or not. You're just going to have to watch it. I would say that would be my fifth one. And then just because I'm not good with numbers, of course I have to mention Godfather 1 and 2, where she played the wife of Michael Corleone, who became the Godfather, and how she was manipulated by Michael, how she could not adjust living a life as a mafia woman, so to speak, or being surrounded by the mafia. And especially in Godfather 2, where she decides she's going to divorce Michael, and then he takes her two children away from her because of that, and he has the power to do that, being the person that he was. And how horrifying that was when she admitted to him in one scene that she had lost the baby, or he thought she had lost another baby, and he says to her, "We can have another one." And she said, "Michael, I did not lose that baby. I had an abortion because I would never bring another child into this family, not for what this family, excuse me, represents." She is ostracized from the family and her children, and their relationship is very strained. Now, I'm not recommending Godfather 3. She does have a pivotal role in that with Al Pacino. Much later, the children are adults, and they do somewhat reconcile as a couple, even though she is remarried. But they do come to an understanding of each other. So that would be the only reason I would really recommend Godfather 3, no other reason. So she made lots of other films too, but that would be the majority of the ones that I would say you should take the time to see on a streaming service or on a cable station or a VOD situation, and you would be gladly satisfied by her range of acting skills. So I'm going to mention some other films, but I'm not going to go into detail about them, not like I did for the 5 to 6 that I mentioned to you. I would say you might also want to see Interiors, the Woody Allen film. You might also want to see the Woody Allen film Manhattan. Those are two good films. Let's see. I would say Father of the Bride with Steve Martin and Father of the Bride Part 2. She plays the mother. She's quite good in those. Also, The First Wives Club with Goldie Hawn and Bette Midler, playing divorced women who seek revenge on their ex-husbands. That's rather funny. Also, Marvin's Room, where she plays a spinster who lives with her father, taking care of him, and then she develops cancer and then has her sister come to help her out, who is portrayed by Meryl Streep. So that's a very touching film also that you might want to think about. The Family Stone, a story of a family getting together at Christmas, where her character, she plays the mother, is dying from, I believe, cancer. So it probably will be the last Christmas that they have together. Let's see. I think Book Club, where she was in with Candice Bergen and some other actresses, I might recommend. She also did television. She did lots of shows on television. She did, let's see, Surrender Dorothy, Crossed Over, Sister Mary Explains It All, Northern Lights, Mannix, the FBI, Night Gallery. So, film lovers, please, please, please take the time to see a Diane Keaton film. Her craziness, her great acting ability, her off-the-wall humor, her tremendous versatility when it comes to acting. Right up there with, as far as I'm concerned, Barbra Streisand and Meryl Streep and many other great ones. And I didn't always feel in her time being alive that she was appreciated for her great, great acting skill. But because of film, Diane Keaton is going to live on in infamy for us. And if you see that name, check out that film. Because Diane Keaton was the whole package. I will miss you, Diane. I loved you as an actress. And I want to thank you for the library of films that you have left that I can go to and see your great skill in action. Thank you, Diane.
Oh, well. La-di-da, la-di-da, la-la, yeah.
Alrighty then. Once in a while I have a certain section of my show. I don't know what I call it. I probably call it something different every time. Travels with B. Let's call it that. And I've been various places in the world. And I've been on buses and I've been on ships. And soon I'm going to be going on a trip by rail and by car, by horse and buggy. No. But I probably shouldn't rule that out, huh? Anyway, I recently, October 20th to 25th, went on a bus tour. Now, I've done a number of bus tours where they toss you onto a bus and they drive you to your location and they take care of you very well. They have your room figured out and they have the itinerary all planned for you, and you have a host, a travel guide, and you have a wonderful bus driver. And there are many, many advantages to this. And I have, just to do a shameless plug, done 3 trips through Four Seasons Travel in Albert Lea. Very convenient because I can take my car there, leave it, and then when we get back, I just drive back home. And they have various places throughout the country and the world that they take guided tours. Now, yes, of course, there are some downsides to being on a crowded bus with a lot of people. The noise, the noise, and probably the noise. But we surely had many moments that we all were sleeping because, well, let's face it, on a bus trip, we're dealing with people who are not necessarily too mobile anymore and are relying on the kindness of tour guides and bus drivers to take us to various locations in the world and in our country. But anyway, we went on a tour called the Ark Encounter, ARK. And this was in Kentucky. This was the highlight of our trip, where we actually saw the life-size replica of Noah's Ark. I've been meaning to do this for some time. Four Seasons Travel takes trips there quite often, and I thought this is just my opportunity. So just to give you some of the highlights of the trip, the first day we were primarily driving. And then the next day we arrived in Cincinnati, Ohio. And there we went to the Cathedral Basilica of the Assumption, which is this gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous Catholic basilica in Cincinnati. And we had a tour of it. We found out the history of the basilica. And what I will take away from that would be I would say, walls and walls and walls of stained glass, beautifully, intricately painted stained glass windows that portrayed various scenes of Jesus Christ's life. Absolutely mesmerizing. And it was a gorgeous facility. So if you're ever in Cincinnati, go to the Cathedral Basilica of the Assumption. Highly recommend it. Then that night we went on a riverboat dinner cruise. Now I've been on a couple of these. A couple years ago went down to the Quad Cities and did a dinner cruise on the Mississippi. This time we had the opportunity to see the skyline of Cincinnati, Ohio, by boat at night, and it was gorgeous. It was gorgeous. Cincinnati is a gorgeous, beautiful city. And the riverboat is fun because you get a wonderful meal, you can dance, you can sing, you can move around. It's just fun, fun, fun. Then, the next day, we went to 3 different museums. We went to the Creation Museum, which is a museum that talks about the whole theory of creation, how the world was created. Now, this I will share with you, if you've not been to the Creation Museum, that the emphasis there is not on any sort of belief in evolution. This is all biblically referenced. This Creation Museum stands by the story of Adam and Eve. The world was created in literally 6 days, and that the world is only a few thousand years old. Now, I'm not saying I dispute that. What I'm saying is, I know that there are many different theories on the age of the earth. There are many Christians who maybe still don't really know how they feel about the Adam and Eve story, and probably many people who believe that the world was created over a much more larger amount of time than 6 literal days. Whatever the truth is, still a Christian. And so many of these values that they talked about, I adhere to. But it did make me do some thinking about maybe more time should have been given to the other viewpoints about creationism. But it was very one-sided. That's fine. I knew that going in. But the museum had wonderful stories and film and historical information to back up their theories. So it's undisputed that there's definitely some merit to what was being said. Then we went to the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center. The National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, which talks about, of course, the Underground Railroad that was utilized during the Civil War so black people could escape from the South. And it showed pictures of some of the homes that they hid in and how people helped them. It also had a huge portion of the museum dedicated to racism in today's society. And that can be exemplified in so many ways. That can be dealing with human trafficking, that's slavery. That's a form of slavery. Also, the whole idea of how we still have racism in this country based on having slavery legal for a time in our country. And then the museum went on to expound on how we need to be trained not to be ignorant, to believe that any form of bondage or slavery is okay, because it's not. It had many photographs. It had beautiful paintings. It was very, very moving. And you walked out of that museum just realizing how horrible the whole slavery issue in this country was, and how with it ending largely with the resolution of the Civil War, that we still have remnants of that today in our society. And we may not have just racial prejudice, but we have many, many, many other kinds of prejudice too. All with the belief that this could, in my mind, be eradicated if we just would pay attention only to ourselves and to our own business and not be involved with anybody else or think we are better than anybody else. So there's my dime store preaching. So I walked away with that feeling that I have to be the one who, it starts with me, that I cannot be prejudiced against any group of people or religiously oriented people or sexually oriented people. That's not my business. And then we topped the day off by going to a place called the American Sign Museum. Oh, that's right, folks. You heard me right. A museum filled with signs. They had signs from the last many, 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 many years. They had neon signs. They had electric signs. They had mobile signs. They had every kind of sign. And we had this superb tour guide who went through the history of signs. And we got to see signs from all these different periods of time. And is it frivolous? Sure. Was it fun? Absolutely. Some of the highlights for me would be the Howard Johnson sign. Howard Johnson used to be a hotel, I think, and they also had a restaurant. They used to specialize in ice cream. The Big Boy restaurants, I guess some of them are still in existence, many have closed, but they had that. They had one of the original McDonald's signs that's all lit up, and they have it now so that it actually is in operation. And they have created a main street of all these historical signs. I really recommend it if you ever want to see it in Cincinnati, Ohio. The American Sign Museum. And then, of course, the next day was the big Ark Day. And we spent the majority of our time at the Ark. And it had 3 floors. And when you entered the Ark, you could see so many different things. You could see the living quarters of Noah and his family, what they think it looked like, how they caged the animals. They had, they didn't have real animals in the Ark. They did have a zoo that you could go to, and that was very, very nice. But they had artificial animals in some of the cages, and then some information about how many of the animals that were on the Ark are now extinct, no longer exist, and how the Ark had dinosaurs, different forms of dinosaurs on the ship. And that I found rather fascinating. I was not aware of that at all. And so you could see that. You could see how they stored the food for that amount of time, for the 40 days and 40 nights. And then they also had much information about the biblical story itself of how Noah came to be called to be the one to build this ark, how it took him so many years to do it. Think about how this was done without electrical tools. Just absolutely mind-boggling. And this again tied into the Creation Museum. They're both owned by the same company or people. And so they profess that the flood, as is depicted in the Bible, did actually happen. And all of humankind was wiped out, except for the few people on the ark. And then when the water receded, then they went out and populated the world. So I'm glad I saw it. It is a breathtaking sight. And I do believe that the ark did exist. And I do believe that there was a great flood. And so this really solidified for me my belief in that story. So glad that we got to do that. And then, finally, on the last day, as we came back into Illinois, to the Quad Cities, we went to a dinner theater. And I've been to this dinner theater before, and I love dinner theater. And we saw Come From Away, the story about the 9/11 people who were flying into our country, but were stopped, and they ended up in Newfoundland instead for a while. And the story involves how they all bonded together while this catastrophe was taking place in the United States, and how they changed as people. It's a brilliant musical, and it was very well done. So those are the highlights, my friends, of my trip, which I will entitle the Ark Encounter. And so if you like bus rides, if you like being taken care of, if you like riding in a luxurious bus and having plenty of potty breaks, you definitely need that for the elderly people. Let's face it. And having wonderful breakfast buffets, I would say, think about it. There are many, many places that you can go to find out about bus excursions. It's not just Four Seasons and Elberly. So get online, see if you can find something. And if you're looking for a trip that is still right here in the good old USA, think about going to go see the Ark. Noah's Ark. What a wonder.
Let's have a seat round the proverbial table
Would you like to say grace?
with a nod to our higher power and Mr. B's spiritual journey.
My friends, my spiritual friends, as I go down my road of recovery from overeating, which I've been abstinent, free from my alcoholic foods now for over 7 years, only because of my higher power, thanks to my higher power for that. I thought today I would talk a little bit about the issue of being humble. And the only way that I can maintain my sobriety, food sobriety, is to be humble every single day. I cannot take credit for my weight loss or maintaining my weight as I have for the past years or so. It is all due to my higher power. And I am very, very grateful. I am not going to have the ego that says that I have the willpower to control it. I thought that was the case. I lived most of my life that way. And what did it get me? High blood pressure, being overweight, stiff limbs, breathing heavily, brain fog. And now I'm really free of all of that. And I'm very grateful to my higher power. Let me just share this reading. My old way of thinking was that I was either an utter failure as a human being or I was a saint. That's one thing as an overeater. It's all or nothing. I saw myself as an utter failure. My attempts at controlling my weight and my eating only strengthened my view of myself. I dreamt of a glorious change in me, a totally compassionate, intelligent, and, of course, thin person. The trouble was that there was no road between me, the miserable failure, and me, the thin saint. So I retreated to eating and daydreaming, and my folks, as a side note, I did that for years and years and years. I used to envision a sudden flip into a different me, as if by magic I would be transformed. But this program has taught me that recovery requires patience and persistent commitment to a glorious but hard journey. Yes, folks, it is a glorious, but it is at times a hard journey. This program has taught me to acknowledge my shortcomings, and by working the steps every single day, I can drop the self-hate, which is one of the major reasons that I ate inappropriate foods for years was because of self-hate, and humbly rely on my higher power. I am journeying to recovery with my 12 steps. And that's why I have to review and remind myself of what 12 steps are every single day. Here's another one. As I finish my 5th step, I feel relieved and excited. The 5th step is when you do an inventory and you share it with somebody else. I know my higher power has been with me all the way, prodding and leading me. I have always felt apart from the human race. I think many overeaters have. I felt I had to be better than everyone else, or I was no good at all. I acted out this feeling by being a know-it-all. As I reflected on my 4th step inventory, I began to realize that I was no different from any of my fellows in OA. I had heard many of the things in meetings. Why did I think that I was different? My 5th step process opened my eyes, and I began to see the reality of my life. I was one of many reaching out to others and to my higher power trying to get healthy. As I talked with my sponsor, I felt humbled, accepted, and loved. I was finally part of the human race, no better and no worse than any other person. What an incredible program. Thank you, my fellows, and thank you to my higher power. My higher power. I put myself in the hands of my higher power every single day. I am going to let my higher power guide me, advise me, support me, and help me make the decisions that are best for me. And the last one I'm going to share for today about being humble and realizing that I have no control over this disease. I have been given a newfound freedom, the freedom that comes as a result of practicing unconditional love and acceptance of the person I am today. May I repeat that, my loved ones? Unconditional love, acceptance of who you are. In my fourth and fifth steps, I realized what character traits and behaviors had outlived their usefulness to my life. I saw that my old ways of reaching out to the world kept me from reaching my full potential. In step 6, I became willing, thank you, to let go of whatever stood in the way of my being present to life. I am powerless over fixing myself, but I am not helpless. I can pray for the willingness to be willing to surrender and allow the natural progression of change to unfold in God's time. I can even enjoy myself in that process. My higher power has given me back my power. Today, I choose to practice unconditional self-acceptance while I relish the mystery of change. I like to think that that's what I'm practicing now on a daily basis, my great friends. Unconditional self-acceptance and relishing the mystery of change, never knowing where my higher power is going to take me and what's going to happen to me, but trusting in that process and being humble enough to turn my life over to my higher power. I challenge you to do that. If you have intense self-hate, if everything that you've tried to improve your life has not worked, why don't you just stop and turn it over and pray to your higher power and say, please, my higher power is God. God, take me for what I am and mold me how you feel I should be molded. You won't be sorry.
And now, School Days with Mr. B.
Folks, I wanted to share with you some letters that had been written to teachers to let them know how much they're appreciated. I must say, when I was a full-time educator for 39 years and now going into my 7th year of subbing and still being involved with education, that I never, ever became tired of receiving notes or thank yous or evidence of appreciation for what you did, because it really helped to fill your well. And when you had those days that you thought you haven't made a difference, you have made a difference. Long-reaching difference. And so this was written to some teachers during National Teacher Appreciation Week. And I found so many truths in this letter. And it made me realize that my profession was so vitally important. And I know that I've touched many lives, and I'll always be grateful for that. Dear teachers, thank you Thank you for the work you do every day and for the difference you make in the lives of our children and our families. Gratitude and appreciation are not enough to thank you for all the contributions you make to positively impact children's lives and the future of our country. I believe teaching is the most important job in the world. I also know it is also one of the most difficult. You make thousands of decisions every day, and they all matter so much because they all have an impact on young people, which is, of course, also why teaching is also the most meaningful job in the world. I know you don't need me to tell you how wonderful it is to witness students making discoveries about themselves and the world around them. You are shaping our future, and we owe you such a debt of gratitude. The past years have brought with them a lot of stress and more loss than we ever expected. It seems trite to say you rose to the occasion because I wish you hadn't needed to, but it's true. You've taken on so many challenges and you've so much to be proud of. We also have so much to grieve. The grieving process is important for all of us. As reflective practitioners, we must allow ourselves the space to grieve what we have lost in the last 2 years and to reflect about what we have learned and how we can continue to help our students with these challenges. We must remember that we cannot and we will not move through this alone. We will do it together. We have the scars and the collective healing as educators who taught a cohort of students who will see the world differently because of the past few years. Our students have themselves lost a lot. They may have lost people in their lives or housing or dealing with food insecurity or a parent's job loss, or maybe they're dealing with increased mental health challenges. You know, this is their reality because you spend every day with them. So many of our students are feeling a loss of safety and connectedness, and you are doing heroic work helping them build community and connecting to each other. And through all of this, you are still teaching, and they are still learning. They've even learned to give each other, and hopefully themselves, some grace. The world has asked a lot of our kids, and they're moving through this crisis as best they can, with the help of family and friends, and with the help of you, their teachers. Never forget that we have accomplished so much. On that note, I must acknowledge that the world has asked a lot of you. Too much, to be honest. I had a student tell me once that she thought teaching was about changing the world because you got to help open a world up to students and learn alongside them. Well, I agreed with her then, but what I reflect on today, I would take it a step further. Teaching is about changing the world because the world is always changing, and we students have to harness that change and make sense of it, and to use those lessons to make our lives and our world better. This has never been more true than now. You are changing the world by teaching kids about change. Thank you for what you do, for going above and beyond every day. We appreciate you and we see you. Thank you for loving our children, our students, and thank you for continuing to change the world. That was written by a state official to a group of teachers in Wisconsin, and it really reiterates everything that I feel about the teaching profession. You do make a difference every single day with the hundreds and hundreds of decisions you have to make. Nothing can be more satisfying than seeing the smile on a student's face and knowing that you have made a difference. So my fellow teachers out there, never give up. Keep working hard. Know that you are an instrument. Please be aware that you're an integral part of a child's upbringing, along with the parental unit. You are a teacher.
Don't you forget this.
All right, folks. It's time to bring it to a close for this episode of Mr. B's Dinner Party. I hope there was something in my program today that you found interesting, because I surely enjoy spending time with you. So I hope you'll come back for more, because I like talking with you and I like spending time with you. So until we meet again at the dinner table, make it a good one, enjoy, and love yourself. Bye-bye.
Television dramas and comedic reviews, pet peeves buzzing like honeydew blues, poetry sprinkled like salt on a dish, every word served with a twist and a swish. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end, from travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musing served in rhyme.
Mr. B's Dinner Party is hosted by Scott Bertelson, edited and produced by Troy Thompson, recorded and distributed at Sunnyside Farm Studios, and platformed by Buzzsprout.
Conversations flowing like fine red wine, world journeys mapped with tales divine. He's hosting a dinner for your hungry mind, a banquet of life where you can unwind. Belly up to the table, my friend. The feast of thought will never end, from travels far to a spiritual climb. Morsels of musings served in rhyme.
Subscribe so you never miss an episode, and share with your friends. Listen and enjoy every other Wednesday. Conversational Morsels for the Mind on Mr. B's Dinner Party.